Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to video 11 of Warhammer Dark Omen. This mission can give you an awful lot of trouble, so I really recommend paying attention to what's done here and also just accepting that some of this is a roll of the dice. This is the first mission that's probably a heavy restart point for players going through the game for their first time, but once you figure it out, there are things you can do to make it slightly more manageable. So let's get this underway.
Cannon and mortar crews are already here, Morgan, primed to attack the towers. All they were waiting for was the steam tank. Everything's ready for the assault.
Commander, if you join forces with us, we have a good chance of scouring the towers clean of orcs.
Agreed. Launch the assault!
So this mission really puts you at the mercy of RNG, and not in the way that you're relying on your RNG to hit the enemy with your artillery. The enemy are actually fielding their own artillery in this mission, and this is why this particular mission is considered quite a big difficulty spike. We have to deal with one orc rock lobber and two arrow bolt throwers, which are basically catapults and ballistae, if you want your non-orcish names for things. So, bearing in mind what we have to actually do in this mission and the units that we have to deal with, I want you to remember that if Morgan Bernhardt chooses not to help here, I mean, it can't happen, this is a forced mission, but say hypothetically Morgan chooses not to help here, they would be trying to take this with an artillery, a mortar, and a steam tank.
By a pestilence that I'm here to cure.
This entire tower.
With steel and fire.
Target received!
So, you want to deploy in this formation.
Received.
You've got a sort of line with a
Target
little bit of a
received.
sickle at the end with your artillery, just so they don't
Received.
shoot one another.
Yes, my lord.
And you immediately
Enemy
want to get
sighted.
your artillery
Enemy
and
sighted.
archers targeting.
Forward!
First thing you want to target is the more Boyz that are going to move towards you. They're going to be the first unit that reaches you, so make sure you're firing at them first. And then you're going to want to move your flagellants and your bright wizard just so that you've got a nice long consistent line. They don't fit on the end because of the size of the deployment area, so we put them behind the crossbowmen and then just move them around manually. So this mission is another one of those that's split into chunks. We don't do any baiting. The AI will come out and attack you. There's two halves to this fight. There's the aggressive half, in which the AI is going to attack you with some Boar boys, two lots of orc boys, some archers, and the Shaman. And you want to deal with all of that before you begin the second phase, which is when you start trying to attack their artillery, and they actually deploy additional units to stop you. And that's where you take most of your casualties. If you deploy as I have and target correctly, you'll take very few casualties in this first half. Because
Enemy sighted!
by keeping this line, you at no point go into the range of the orc rock lobber. The Flaming Skull is such a good spell. It's probably my favourite spell that the Bright Wizard can
Enemy
use.
sighted! Target received!
Does a lot of damage and it inflicts fear.
Open fire! Target received! Aye, sir.
So, although we're technically out of the range of the artillery, you may have seen a missed shot can overextend the artillery's range.
Yes, Miller.
So if you get really unlucky, as you saw with my Bright Wizard almost, you can still get hit. This unit that's moving towards us, you want to absolutely focus down, and also be careful, you do not want that unit to leave the battlefield. It has another very good magical item.
Received.
This magical item is called the Shield of Ptolos.
Target received.
And it basically, as you can see, it makes the unit not completely impervious, but close to impervious to ranged attacks. So you can have a regiment hold that shield and charge through all of the archers.
Enemy sighted! Charge! Roll the fire!
With with that in mind, these are just Orc Boys. They're not particularly tough. Your 9 Flagellants will easily take care of them. And take a bunch of artillery damage if you get really unlucky. It may seem like we benefited from that artillery, but we lost... Wow. In all of that, we lost 4 Flagellants because the charge made them carry forward as well. 5 Flagellants. Which was not worth that artillery shot, because that artillery shot made them run away, which pulled our Flagellants into the range of the archers. Wasn't good. Wasn't good timing for us. We wanted them to actually fight the melee where I'd ordered the charge, basically.
Open fire! Open fire! Charge!
That electric sound is me using the Banner of Wrath. I've explained that in the previous videos. Very good magical item. I'll be moving it around here, there and everywhere depending on who I'm moving, what unit I'm mobilizing the most.
Enemy sighted!
So I'm deliberately allowing that unit to come close, and the reason I'm deliberately allowing it to come close is because I don't want it to escape the battlefield. So I want to make sure that my Flagellants kill that unit. Like that. I do make a mistake here. Because of the units that I have magical slots available on, I panic and I very quickly just pick that up with crossbowmen. It's nice for the crossbow archer shootouts that are going to happen, but other than that, you really want it on one of your infantry units because we're going to be attacking on their artillery.
Target received! Target received! Target received!
So, after all that chaos, we have killed Orc Boar Boys, we have killed 2 regiments of Orc Boys, we've killed a regiment of Orc Arrer Boys, and now we begin this boring bit that I know you guys love, which is where we're waiting for a dice roll to kill the Shaman. We do not want to charge forward into the Shaman. So, at the end of this mission, you're faced with a choice, which is to take the mortar or the cannon. We will be taking the mortar, because we already have a cannon. Whilst it can be fun to have 2 cannons, the mortar is far more beneficial in terms of the flexibility. Mortars have a shorter range than the cannon, but because their projectiles arc, they don't cause friendly fire as much, and they shoot over buildings and trees, therefore giving them a far greater effective range. The further away a mortar shoots, the more inaccurate it can be, which actually works out to our favour because inaccurate shots from the mortar can unexpectedly help you out in a lot of missions. Additionally, you can put the mortar behind some cover, and it will still be able to participate in the battle while also, having cover, which is, as you're slowly learning from all the artillery play, a great thing that can't be overlooked.
Yes, Miller. Target received! Open fire! Open fire!
So, as I've mentioned in previous videos, the AI is not very good at using its magic uses. It likes to do this thing where it walks forward to try to be aggressive. then takes a bunch of range damage and walks away again. This style of play, it makes the AI look really unintelligent, because I'm always making sure my ranged units are focusing the Shaman. But what this can actually do, if you don't pay attention, you forget to target him, it can cause all manner of hell, because you can have a line of units in melee, and then the Shaman just walks up and unleashes hell in the middle of the melee. Orcish Shaman and the Goblin Shaman both have a spell that allows them to increase the fighting strength of regiments. So it's like a free potion of strength. And it can be absolute chaos. It only looks unintelligent because I'm very quick about always targeting the spellcaster. Because I've learned from experience the sheer amount of damage that a spellcaster can do when you leave them unchecked. So that there is the rock lobber, and then that's the bolt thrower. Bolt throwers fire an arrow that can pierce multiple units, and the rock lobber acts much like a catapult, cannon, for all intents and purposes. It is a catapult, but it does the same damage as a cannon and has the same effective range.
Forward!
Just from a game balancing perspective. So I've positioned where I have, mainly to protect myself, but I need to actually regroup now. As I mentioned at the start of this mission, the next phase is going to be us trying to attack their siege units, and you may be thinking, they only have a few Arrer boys, what's going to defend the siege units? Well, when you cross the threshold and start launching an offensive, you actually spawn 3 sets of Orc Boar boys. Now you can pull back and pull these Boar boys into your firing line, but you actually run a risk in doing so, because by pulling back you're in the effective range of the artillery for much longer. And you can actually take more casualties trying to bait the Boar boys than just going for it. Which is what we do, we just go for it. And we do take a lot of casualties. Spoilers.
Aye, sir. Aye, sir.
This is why this is the first mission that really does test you, and it puts you under a little bit of pressure.
Aye, sir.
You need to command well, and except, you know, it's much like a game of Warhammer on the tabletop. Sometimes the dice just don't fall your way.
Aye, sir.
Steam tanks are incredibly resilient. They can't be engaged in melee combat because they are a tank. They can be killed. Lots of people think the steam tank is invincible. It is not invincible. It can be killed. But it's very hard to do so.
Forward!
Yes, my lord.
To arms! To arms! Attack!
So, if my flagellants hadn't taken 5 casualties right away, I would be moving them up as well, having the extra unit for support. The steam tank is going to bait archer fire from the other regiment,
We're under fire!
and hopefully just keep
Enemy
the enemy
sighted.
busy by appearing like a
sighted.
high priority target. In theory, I could
Forward.
also move it forward and try to use it
We're
to
under
destroy the
fire.
other bolt thrower, but
Attack!
I don't do that. You're more than welcome to give it a go when you do this mission.
Enemy sighted! Charge!
And this is where having the Shield of Tolos on
Engage.
one of your infantry units is much more
Forward.
beneficial than having it on your crossbowman.
Engage.
So I will not be using the crossbowman for the rest of this mission, effectively.
Crush them!
Aye, sir.
So this was a tactical mistake.
under fire!
I should have turned around and engaged
To
the other
arms.
unit very quickly, but I moved forward, forgetting that it spawns 3 and not 2 lots of Orc Boar boys.
We're under attack!
Actually didn't see that big unit that intercepts me.
Attack!
So I make my Grudgebringer infantry peel off and go and help.
To the death!
But what this has effectively done is pulled all the cavalry into a single corner of the map.
Engage.
Charge!
but we are taking a lot of casualty cavalries here.
We're under fire! Charge!
So we're getting the greatswords involved. As you've heard me say in previous missions, if you're doing this, you want to be getting the greatswords involved. You want your greatswords doing damage and gaining experience. I actually make the mistake of not giving them enough experience throughout the course of the playthrough, and you'll see how much harder it makes the final missions for me.
We're under fire!
Also, that rock lobber just got the ideal hit. He took out about 7 or 8 men in that one volley and hit none of his allies. That's the dream hit.
Aye, sir. Engage.
We're under fire! Charge!
So because of the amount of casualties my cavalry took,
Aye,
we're
sir.
going to be making sure that the Grudgebringer infantry continue to provide
We're
support.
under attack!
And I take a big risk. I keep the Imperial Greatswords around and I make them re-engage on the archer unit, now that there's no rock lobber around
Forward!
to
Attack!
finish them off.
We're under
Should be
fire!
5 Greatswords to a couple of
sir.
Arrer boys. They should be able to take that.
We're under fire!
But again, I can't stress enough how much the Orc Arrer boys are actually very, very good.
We're under fire!
They do a lot of damage and they fire frequently because they're archers. So archers fire much quicker than the crossbowmen, which makes sense if you think about a real-world bow versus a real-world crossbow.
We're under fire! Charge! We're under fire! Crush them! Forward! To arms! Forward!
So at last, we've broken half the map, and these 2 units on the west are
Yes, my lord.
all that's left. So that's it. We just have to push
Aye,
up
sir.
and clear them out. I withdraw the Imperial Greatswords because obviously I don't want them
Aye,
dying.
sir.
We're under fire!
Aye, sir.
Attack!
Engage.
Forward! Attack!
As I said previously, I would recommend you can actually use your steam tank once you've got the rock lobber under control to
We're under
fire at that remaining Arab boy regiment. I do a little poorly with the micromanagement, so I don't actually do it in my playthrough, but I would absolutely recommend that you do.
Yes, my lord.
To arms!
So we're using the Banner of Wrath to soften them up. They actually fight
Forward.
really fiercely.
We're under fire! We're under fire! Charge!
As you can see, they've got an aura. They're actually carrying, I believe it's a potion of strength. So they fight pretty fiercely for what is a group of archers. You'll hear my trademark human scream again soon.
Crush them!
Yes, my lord.
Help us! Charge!
So although it's infantry against archers, you still want to support them because potions of strength are really, really good.
To the death!
You want to be careful, that spellcast can cause friendly fire damage, as can the Banner of Wrath, so just be mindful when you're using it. Generally, if you have the majority, it's worse to use it. If you have the minority number of units in a melee, or you know, because it casts from Morgan's position, but Morgan is directly in front of an enemy, you can cast it.
We are victorious!
And that concludes this level. Well, what a level that was, right? No, this mission was quite difficult. As I said, I've never beaten this game without cheats. So the playthrough you're seeing here, it took me about 4 hours to decipher this mission for myself and come up with a strategy. It took me about 4 hours and then about 30 minutes to get it to the point where I could get through the whole battle. So, you know, a lot of time went into this particular mission, and it paid off. It was worth it. We cleared it. We cleared it relatively well. There's things that can be done to reduce the amount of casualties, but other than that, we are done and on to the next level. As always, like, comment, share the video, subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see in future videos. Bye for now.